With everything going on in South Africa right now, I came to thinking about all the possible triggers there could be that could create total chaos here in South Africa. At first, the obvious ones come to mind, but the more you think about it, the more you come up with. I decided to look at some of these triggers and the reasons behind them. I'm not going to cover every single chaos trigger that I can think of, but I think I will come up with enough to make you think. So let's start with the most obvious ones. Number one on my list is expropriation without compensation, or EWC. Although anyone with a little common sense will tell you that if implemented will lead to several problems. Firstly, anyone who believes that the land problem can be solved by taking a few thousand farms from whites and handing them to 50-odd million black people has to have some kind of mental problem. There is no way that this process could solve the problem of land. Doing this could only lead to a massive food crisis in the country, and ultimately mass starvation will ensue. Starving people are desperate people and will resort to desperate measures. There is no way anyone could deny this fact. Another reason why I think that chaos would ensue from the EWC process is that the farmers whose property will be taken will resist the confiscation of their land, and rightfully so, in my opinion. It is my opinion that we, as the white minority, as a whole, should not allow the process to even start. It is no good distinguishing between one farm being more valuable than the other, thereby allowing some expropriations and opposing others. We cannot afford to allow a single so-called legal expropriation of any property whatsoever that is currently owned by a private individual, no matter what their race. I'm in favor of us, as a minority, coming together in numbers and defending these properties by any means necessary to prevent expropriation. This could lead to a level of chaos, yes, but in my opinion this will be one of the lesser or smaller levels of chaos. Second on my list is Escom. We have become so dependent on electricity in our modern everyday life that in general we simply can't do without it. If you look at businesses alone, with very little exception, all manufacturing, catering and retail businesses rely heavily on a constant and reliable source of electricity. Without it, they simply cannot operate. If we look at the domestic situation, we have become extremely reliant on electricity, and the average home simply does not function without it. This is not the case of we have to have electricity, but rather the fact that the modern home is traditionally equipped to use electricity as a source of power. It is entirely possible to have a house today that is powered by gas and will function just fine. Unfortunately, we have become addicted to electricity because of its convenience. And of course, it is extremely difficult to get a television set or a computer to work on gas. If we were to lose electricity supply totally, within a few days, we would run out of water in the suburbs. There would be a massive rise in crime due to the security systems of houses and businesses going down after their batteries go flat. I covered this scenario in a previous video. In short, I would say that within a week to 10 days, there would be total chaos and massive crime. Third on my list is money. What happens when the money runs out? It is common knowledge that the government coffers are empty. Very soon they will not be able to pay for anything. The government is probably the single biggest employer in the country, directly and indirectly. The day they are not able to pay these people any longer, all hell is going to break loose. We have already seen how the masses act when they are just wanting a raise. One can only imagine what they will do when they don't get paid at all. Another thing to look at is Sasser Grants. There is a huge number of people that rely on Sasser Grants every month. One can only imagine the chaos that will ensue the day they announce that they can no longer pay these grants. In my opinion, this one will or could be responsible for the largest or most serious kind of chaos that would ensue. In my opinion, when grants are not paid, people who would not normally be violent would be motivated to resort to some kind of violence in an attempt to get what they are owed, since their very survival depends on it. Another possible cause for total chaos in this country could be xenophobic fighting between locals and foreigners. There are way more foreigners in this country than we realize. If you look at how these foreigners feature in the communities, it is easy to see why conflict between them and the locals could occur. The locals are generally extremely unproductive and lazy in a sense. If you go into the townships and take a good look at who owns the businesses, you would find that the vast majority of businesses, especially the more successful businesses, are owned and run by foreigners. The Somalis, Nigerians, Pakistanis and some others are far more entrepreneurial and business-minded. They are also motivated and willing to do any kind of work, especially all forms of physical work. To put it bluntly, generally speaking, our locals are a lazy bunch by nature. We have also seen a lot of xenophobic violence in the transport industry with attacks on foreign truck drivers. There is a huge amount of jealousy between the locals and the foreigners, and as this has been responsible for some really serious conflict in the past. In fact, there is some serious xenophobic violence taking place right now in Soweto, where the shops and businesses of the foreigners are being attacked, looted and destroyed. These locals claim that the foreigners are taking their opportunities away from them, but the reality is that, in general, the locals are simply not as capable at running successful businesses. Another cause for chaos, which we are seeing a lot of lately, is the masses being unhappy with the government. Before the elections, the ANC made a lot of promises to a lot of communities, which they are not keeping to for whatever reason. The communities are now rising up and causing a lot of chaos and damage to infrastructure and private property. It should be noted that neither the infrastructure nor the private property made any promises to the community and are the very things that need to be improved or expanded for the promises to be realized. Just saying. There is another possible cause of chaos in the country, and that would be infighting between the different local tribes and factions. This has happened before and looks like it could happen again. The last time this happened, the ANC were not in power, and things happened more like large gang fights. This time, the ANC are in power and have more resources to their disposal, or at their disposal. We are seeing a lot of political assassinations taking place these days, and there doesn't seem to be any real efforts being made to solve these murders. There is also the division within the ANC between the Zuma camp and the Ramaphosa camp. These divisions could lead to massive conflict and chaos in the country. Although that would be more in the form of infighting between the black population, some whites will be caught in the crossfire as collateral damage. There might be more triggers to chaos in this country, but these are, in my opinion, the most plausible and probable given the current situation. I think the more important question is, what are the chances of chaos breaking out here? If you look at each of these possibilities on their own, I think the chances of any of them actually happening are very good, given the current state of affairs. What is pretty sobering and scary is if you put all of these possibilities into one pot and then ask the question, what are the chances of at least one of these actually happening? If you look at the question in that light, the answer has to be, it's practically a certainty. It is for this reason, myself and many others have been preparing ourselves for this eventuality. The truth is that if any of these scenarios came into fruition, there could be many white people caught in the crossfire or even directly targeted by the marauding masses. It is our mission in the Boer religion to offer assistance to our people who find themselves in positions where they are in danger due to any of these scenarios happening, but not limited to them only. Given the possibilities of the aforementioned scenarios happening, it would be silly for anyone not to prepare for what looks to be inevitable. The odds of at least one of them becoming a reality is huge. I came to this realization a while ago and have been taking precautionary measures ever since. I joined the Boer Legion after researching a few other civil defense organizations. When USAF came along, I joined them immediately because I saw their vision and identified with it. I decided that they were worth promoting. It boils down to an insurance policy. Why do you have insurance on your car or home? It is to cover yourself in case something happened to those things, although we hope they never will. It's the same joining the Boer Legion and USAF. They are my insurance policy against something that might happen, while I hope it would never happen. If you have insurance on the contents of your home and on your car, don't you think you would benefit from having an insurance policy on your future here in South Africa? Please remember to like and share this video on as many social media platforms as possible. It's the only way my message gets out. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do it now. While you are there, click on the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload new content. If you would like to support my channel, I have made provision for both local and international subscribers to make a contribution if you so wish. I have also provided a Bitcoin as well as a Litecoin address for those who wish to make a crypto contribution. To those who do support my channel, I say thank you. Be safe out there. Until next time.